So good afternoon. Today we'll be detailing a stimulus plan to help support small businesses here in the Commonwealth that have been impacted by COVID. First, I want to give a quick update on our daily COVID numbers. Yesterday, the Department of Public Health reported 3,293 new COVID cases. 62,100 molecular tests were reported, and over 10.3 million tests have been conducted to date. Roughly 2,000 patients are in the hospital being treated for COVID, and just over 400 are in the ICU. Massachusetts and many states across the country are obviously in the midst of a pretty significant second surge of COVID. And we know folks are worn out by this and are looking forward to the holidays, but we can't let it up when it comes to continuing to fight this virus. It's when we let our guard down, especially in group settings where precautions aren't being followed, that COVID spreads. We saw this loud and clear after Thanksgiving, when infections and then hospitalizations both increased dramatically. The trends over the past few days are down slightly, but not enough as we head into the height of this holiday season. During the next several days, we're likely to see another surge in cases and hospitalizations unless everybody pursues a very safe and publicly oriented set of decisions. It's critical for us that our healthcare system continue to have the capacity to take care of patients who need their care. We can't afford to have them stretched to or beyond the limit, especially while they're still stabilizing from the rush after Thanksgiving. We're urging all our residents to limit their holidays to celebrations with only members of their immediate households. It's just for 1 year, and there are brighter days around the corner. We've also taken additional steps to suppress the spread of COVID by pausing activity and limiting mobility through a variety of orders that we issued yesterday that will take effect on Saturday for the next couple of weeks. And we hope these restrictions are temporary and that they stay in place for a reasonably short period of time. We get the fact that these decisions have consequences and that the impact of these decisions have serious impacts on people's lives, and we don't take that lightly. On the good news side of things, Congress did pass a $900 billion stimulus plan that includes funding for individuals, families, businesses, and more, and we urge the President to sign it. People on both sides of the aisle are right to be frustrated by parts of this bill, but no one's more upset about the current state of affairs than everyone who's out there struggling to find a way to get by. The congressional bill does contain critical funding that will go a long way to supporting people here in Massachusetts, and there is certainly an urgent need for this help. But in addition to that, while we wait for the feds to close the deal, we're launching a $668 million small business relief fund. This money will go to restaurants, retailers, and other businesses that have been hit hard by COVID. The program relies in part on President Trump signing the bill because it creates some flexibility with respect to how we can use federal funds. But regardless of whether he acts soon, the Commonwealth will begin awarding millions of dollars in new funding to restaurants, retailers, and other small businesses as soon as next week. These grants of up to $75,000 or 3 months of operating expenses are designed to help small businesses pay employees, pay their rent, pay down debt, pay their utilities or other costs of operation. The new program will be administered by the folks at the Mass Growth Capital Corporation and will complement the existing small business grant program that we were here talking about earlier this week. Lieutenant Governor Polito will provide more detail on this shortly. I think, as everybody know, on Monday, we announced the first round of awards from this program, which consisted of about $49 million for 1,158 businesses. The next round of awards will go to eligible businesses that applied already to the Mass Growth Capital Corp. Small Business Grant Release Program this past fall, but haven't yet been funded. those businesses don't need to reapply. Again, we expect some of those grant notifications will start going out the door next week to these small businesses. The President obviously has signaled some uncertainty with respect to the bill that's currently before him. But the truth is that the Commonwealth nor the country should be required to wait any longer for this relief. Washington took a very long time to get to a deal here, and now more than ever they need to put politics aside and support the American people who have worked so hard to battle and fight their way through COVID. The federal stimulus obviously isn't perfect, but it contains many of the dollars we were looking for, specifically for unemployment assistance, business relief, additional testing and tracing, and vaccination support and rental assistance, and a variety of other programs that will support COVID-related efforts. And residents obviously need this support now, and we urge the President to sign this bill. As we start to look back on 2020, it's pretty clear that everybody's been impacted in one way or another by this virus over the course of this year. For all the hardships and the grief, and there's been a lot, there have certainly been stories of hope, support, grace, kindness, and ingenuity that capture the spirit of the Commonwealth. And I know I speak for everybody on our team when I say how grateful we are for people's grit and resilience. And we really want people to continue to hang in there a little longer. Vaccines are already here. About 35,000 people have already had their first dose administered, and thousands more are on the way. I've talked many times about the fact that COVID feels like a hurricane that never leaves. But as we move forward into 2021, there are means and mechanisms coming to soften the blow, and hopefully with the arrival of the vaccine on a grand scale, to put it somewhat in the rearview mirror. I want to thank everybody again for doing their part.